everybody. Welcome back to 52 Counts Mixup. We got another episode this week with Jason Mollica. Hey, Jason.
Justin, how are you, buddy?
Hey, doing well. Hey, thanks for joining us today from Buffalo, home of the 4-1 Buffalo Bills. So
yeah, they're going nuts out here for the Bills. You think, like I said, I mean, I've said to a number of people this weekend. I said, even if it snows another 50 inches out here soon, they're not going to care. They're just so giddy over the Bills right now.
That's actually good to hear. I know they've had some rough years in the past few, so that's great. Well, so Jason, we're going to do just like we always do, 4 questions, a couple about your work and professional arena, and then one about something a little more fun, and then one about a passion or cause. So,
sure.
So first question, you and I were just talking about this actually, and it sounds like you're doing some really good things. You're in the middle of a job search right now, and you're looking for some new opportunities. And I thought just you're doing some really good, taking some really good steps as far as to network and meet other people. So, what's that process been like for you? What's worked well? What hasn't worked well?
Well, I will say that what has worked well right off the bat, I try to be a glass half full person, is relationships that I've built over the last few years. I think that's the most important thing. You can't seem like you're fake, and you know this better, whether you're working where you work or whether you're a solo PR pro. You need to show that you're honest, and you need to show that you've got integrity. And I think that's one of the things that I would say you definitely have, and I like to hope that I have, is to show that I'm honest. So I think that's helped with the process of looking for work. I'm working within my community right now with my local tourism board, and I've helped with their redesign of their website, and I'm working on their Facebook page. Really, the great thing about being up here is there aren't many people in my area, that, as far as in my town, that really have a passion for social media, a passion for really kind of knowing that's the future. Mm-hmm. And so I've been able to kind of position myself to know that, with people around the area, that, hey, if you have a question about social media, if you have a question about moving your business forward or your brand forward, come talk to me. I'd be happy to help. And it hasn't been a huge financial windfall, but honestly, I haven't been looking at it that way. I've been looking at the fact that I'm just able to give some people some insight and maybe help them to help their business. And then in turn, that helps me too.
Yeah, it sounded like you were doing some work with your school board too, with your local school district, and then with another agency that doesn't have a PR arm. So I like the fact that you're reaching out in a couple different areas and trying to network and make connections there. That's good.
Yeah, it's great. And it is. You're right. I mean, as much as the old adage is it's who you know, but it is what you know too. I mean, you can't get scooped by in life without knowing anything and just going on relationships. You have to really understand what you're talking about. If you don't know the difference between a PR plan and a plan to change the oil in your car, you're in big trouble. Either way.
So true.
You have to understand the industry. You have to understand what your colleagues are doing, but you also have to understand you have to listen. That's the bottom. If you don't listen, you're up the creek without a paddle, basically.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. In fact, that's a lot of times how you figure out what the real problem is you're trying to solve for somebody is by listening. No, that's absolutely right. Okay, so I got 2 blog questions for you.
Sure.
First of all, got my little question cheat sheet over here.
Okay.
First of all, I liked your post about a personal 2-minute drill that you did recently. So I'd like to know if you could explain that to us and how you use it. And then the second part was, you've been blogging for a while now at One Guy's Journey. So blogging's not an easy task. How do you make time for it? How do you work it into all the other things you got to do?
Well, I'll take the second half first. Sure. As far as the blogging goes, I will be honest. When I was working at my old firm, it was tough to get home and blog, and I actually started when I started this blog. It'll be 2 years now in December. I started it when I started my new job, my old job. So I was starting to get time. I figured I'd have a lot of time to really blog it. But the more I started to get more work on, it started to get tougher to blog. So the first part of why I did it was because I really wanted to have an extension of being able to give back, being able to kind of help students out, and maybe even new pros or current pros a different way to look at certain things. The bottom line is I tried to make it work for me. I would blog on the weekends, maybe after the kids went down to bed at night. I'd have some time, or if I knew I was going to be out for a while from work, whether I was sick, I'd try to make sure that I'd try to crank out 1 or 2 posts. But as I went along, I found it tougher. Now, and this sounds ironic, not having a full-time job, going to the office from 8:30 to 5:30, I can get up in the morning, take an hour, and blog. I'm really lucky to be blogging with the PR Breakfast Club as well, so I do contribute to them. So, blogging for them and then blogging at One Guy's Journey, it's a balance. So I've been able to establish the balance a lot more now. But it's been a blast. Blogging is so much fun, and it's a great outreach, especially you get to reach people that don't normally know who you are. Even if they don't know who you are on Twitter, if you hashtag it the right way, you're introduced to some new people, and it's another way of building relationships. That's why I love blogging so much, too.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It really is a great networking tool. I've had the same exact experience. And your blog, just so everybody knows, is it oneguysjourney.wordpress.com? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes,
good.
One Guy's Journey, all one word, .wordpress.com.
Cool. Everybody should check out Jason's blog. You always got some good content out there. I enjoy reading it. And really quickly, just one of the posts I did see the other day was the 2-minute drill post that you do. So tell us how you use that.
Okay. Well, it's funny. As I said in the blog that day, I established I watched the Giants game that night, and then I was at the Bills home opener thanks to my brother-in-law. And I always see the wristband on the quarterbacks. And obviously it's the plays. They have the quick plays. They're running the 2-minute drill. If they don't have to go back to the coach, but for me, it's as a PR person, it's important to have that 2-minute drill, because if you're in a situation where you need to explain yourself, you can't go back to your website and say, here's what I'm all about. You can refer them there, but you need to tell someone right off the bat. You need to think on your feet. And that's really what the 2-minute drill is all about in football. You need to be quick. You need to understand what you're all about. So that's why I always said, one of the things I said, you need to practice and explain to people. Practice your explanation of what you're about, who you are, what you do, why you would be an effective worker for them or an effective consultant for them. Number two is kind of honing that pitch down. Much like you have to hone your pitch for a reporter, you need to understand 4 quick points where people are going to be able to understand who you are. And lastly, much like the quarterback on his wrist has those plays on there, use your business card to have 4 key points. That way, when people go back to try to remember who you are, they're not saying, wow, why do I have this person's business card? They can turn it around and see 4 points of who you are. And they're like, that's why I was talking with, that's what really intrigued me about talking to them, and they'll give you a call. So the back of the business card sometimes is used for writing down similar information anyway. Right. Why not provide it for a potential client or potential contact and give them the opportunity without having to whip out the pen?
Yeah, I love that tip. That's a really good. I like that analogy a lot. I think that's something that people don't. They're like, I don't want to spend time doing this. I know what I offer, but I think you're right. Like that's really one of those, stand in the front of the mirror and deliver that speech. As much as you may not want to sit there and do it, I think you're right. I mean, that's a smart thing to do as far as it is something you need to practice.
The mirror analogy is really a great one, but I think as professionals, as we continue to move forward, we think, especially in the days of Skype and social media now, we really don't, we have to get up and speak at some point. I've done media training for people, and you need to get up in front of sometimes hundreds of people to talk, and it helps to sit there in front of a mirror, and you're looking at yourself. Who's the biggest critic? You're looking at your biggest critic right in the mirror. Right. So if you do something, you say something the right way, it doesn't look right, you're seeing it right off the bat. So I think that's a great way you brought up a great point. That's another great way to practice too, is sit in front of the mirror and do your pitch for yourself. And if you look right, hopefully someone else thinks you look right as well.
Yep. Absolutely. No, that's really good advice. In fact, I think I may go redo my business cards now with those 4 points on the back. I like that a lot. Okay, anyone who reads your Twitter bio, Jason, or at least it caught my eye right away, was the fact about that you're the PA announcer. I really like that idea with the 4 points on the back of the business card. Think I might actually go change my business cards here after we're done. I really think that's a good call.
Yeah, I'm going to do it myself. I haven't done it yet, so I have to take my own advice.
Yeah. No, I really like the idea. I definitely have looked on the back of a card before and been like, did I write any notes about this? So I think it makes total sense. Okay, so when I read your Twitter bio, and I bet other people have done this too, one of the things that stuck out to me, PA announcer for the Buffalo Bisons. So how'd you get that gig? How long have you had that gig? Tell people who the Buffalo Bisons are.
Okay, well, first of all, the Bisons are the AAA affiliate of the New York Mets, and it's actually a dream come true for me because I've been a Mets fan for as long as, I guess since I was born. Right. When I moved up here to the Buffalo area in 2005, I obviously knew about the Bisons, but they were still affiliated with the Cleveland Indians. So right around the time of the switch from the Indians to the Mets, I was at Niagara University working in their PR office, and I was working during the hockey season doing public address announcing for the Purple Eagles hockey team at Niagara University. And they had someone that knew someone at the Bisons. They said, you should put in for it. So I made a call, gave them a resume, and did a tryout, and I ended up getting the gig. it's been a great, now it's been almost three. It'll be my third season is next. I'm sorry, my fourth season will be the 2012 season.
Wow.
It's been a great trip so far. Despite the Bisons have been a little up and down, but they're such a great organization. And like obviously, being a Mets fan, getting a chance to see some of the prospects that have come up through the system, and then I see them at Citi Field now. Seeing Dylan G and Josh Tolle and Lucas Duda and Justin Turner. I could go on. Even though you haven't seen the impact at Citi Field yet for the Mets, those guys have really made a name for themselves down in Buffalo first. And obviously, Ike Davis started down there, and there was a lot of hullabaloo over him. He was only there for about a month and a half, and then got caught up to the Mets. But we were part of that excitement, and that team was really, the young guys they had in that team. We actually had a good season that year. So it's been great to be part of the Bisons organization during the summer. I look at it this way, and I'm not trying to be rude. I get paid to watch baseball.
Right.
And
perfect.
And for a baseball fan and someone that really enjoys the game, it's great to go to the ballpark on a summer afternoon, even an early spring afternoon or spring night, and go there and sit at the ballpark and watch the team. It's a blast. It's a baseball fan's dream.
Yeah, I totally get. We were talking about baseball before we started the interview. I totally get where you're coming from, and being a Royals fan, I mean, that's what our franchise has been all about the last year or two, is all these guys coming up. And it's amazing, like, you paid attention to the minors all the time in Kansas City, but the last 2 years, like, Omaha is our AAA franchise, and they've regularly had the Omaha play-by-play guy on, like, at least once a month, if not every other week, because all these guys are coming through. So, yeah, so it's the same way. We didn't end up going, but my friends and I talked a lot about going down there to see a game or going down to Northwest Arkansas, the AA affiliate, because all these guys are going to be up in a year, just like you're saying.
Yeah, and that's a great organization, too. I mean, they're really – and to see all the young guys come up. And that's the great thing about working with a AAA team. You see all these players come up, and you see the possible future of your team. And like I said, I mean – the Indians fans that were in Buffalo got a chance to see a lot of these Indians players come up and go to Cleveland. Yep. And guys like Bartolo Colon, who really, for the first half of his career in Cleveland, was lights out, technically. He was a great starter.
Yep.
And to see all the other guys that have come up through the system. Brandon Phillips came up through that system, obviously having success with the Reds now. Johnny Peralta was there for a time, Grady Sizemore. I mean, guys that sort of Cleveland's fans had gotten a chance to really, wrap their hands or arms around, rather.
Right.
And same thing with the Mets eventually. Great thing with the Mets part of it is, SNY and the Mets are considered our local team up here, and so are the Yankees. So we see Mets games, Yankees games up here. So they see the Mets guys that were the Bisons players that were here, and they see them on SNY TV in New York. It sort of starts coming back to a marketing and PR standpoint. It goes back to a branding. Now they can say, see the Mets of the future today.
Yeah.
And that's some of the things they've done over the last few years.
Well, it makes sense. I think you're totally right. I mean, if one of our minor league affiliates was in our hometown like that, that close proximity, I think you'd see a lot of people from Kansas City too go a lot. So I can see that. That's a nice connection that they have it that close.
Oh yeah, and it's only it's an hour flight from New York here to Buffalo, and it's a 7.5 hour drive. And while it's not a bad drive, especially during the summer and spring, it's really beautiful. It's a nice drive, and people stay in the area to do other things as well. But it's not that far. It's not like we're, the Mets farm team, whereas before it was in Norfolk. They were the Norfolk Tides, obviously.
Right.
And it wasn't that far of a trip from New York either. But I think there's more of a connection in this realm because it's not that far of a flight. It's not that far of a trip. You're still in New York State.
Right.
And I think that goes a long way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's cool. Well, if anybody else going to a Bisons game in the next year or so, listen for Jason on the PA. I think that would be a really fun job.
It is. It's great.
So the last question, Jason, that I was asking, I always ask the same one, is reserved for you to tell us a lot about a cause you care about or something you're passionate about. A lot of people do, charities when they mention this, but some people don't. People have mentioned TED before. Chuck Heeman mentioned hating LeBron James. So, but what would your cause or passion be?
Well, I mean, I'll agree with Chuck. I mean, I think hating LeBron James is pretty fun right now. But I'm not a big hater because I'm not a Cleveland fan. But I will say that I will come back to saying that the Blue Key campaign is something I'm really passionate about right now. And obviously, if people don't know, it supports refugees who are working hard to rebuild their lives. Shanali Burke brought me some interest to that with me. I recorded a video for them for the Blue Key campaign. You can go to bluekeyblog.org to get more information, but that's something I'm passionate about, as well as the holiday tweet drive. I work with Harrison Kratz on that, and that's something that Harrison got for 21 years old, a kid who can come up with his own, charitable component for the holiday season. I think is wonderful. So those are two of the things I'm passionate about, and coming back around, I would say also that paying it forward. I love the opportunity to pay it forward. With current pros, with future pros, and talking with people. That's something I enjoy. So I guess those are the three things that I'm most passionate about right now, and can see myself being passionate about in the future.
Yep, those are great. And I know that Tweet Drive you can follow. There's a Tweet Drive hashtag, right? And then also Blue Key, same thing, one word. I've been involved with that campaign with Shanali too. And you're right, it's a great cause. And you can contribute to it by buying a Blue Key for $5, right? So if you go to Starbucks a lot, I've been telling people this, just skip one day of Starbucks and there's your Blue Key. So
you're absolutely right. And, just going back to Tweet Drive, if you're looking for Tweet Drive on Twitter, it's Tweet Drive HQ. So at Tweet Drive HQ, you can follow what's going on. But, I think the great thing with both of those, it's about giving back. Right. And especially for those, and around the holiday season, everyone sort of kind of ramps up their thinking about people who are less fortunate. But I think it's a 365-day of year thing. We need to be thinking of people. We're fortunate, regardless of whether you're looking for work or you're in a job. You still have that roof over your head. You still have some sort of, whether it be you can put food on the table, you can eat. Some of these people can't afford to put a meal on the table, especially in the case of refugees when they don't have the creature comforts that we're so used to. Right. So you're right. Not going to Starbucks for a day, spending that $5 and getting a key and showing your support can go such a long way.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And the other thing too is that is one of the things that's been so great for me about all this, all the connections I've made through social media is the ability to. You can't always. It's not always possible to go somewhere in person to volunteer your time, even though you'd like to. And there are a lot of ways. Tweet Drive and Blue Key are two great examples where you could still get involved, online, and it's a great way to meet people too. But it's a nice way to be able to contribute when you can't necessarily, give all of your, the time you'd like in person sometimes to volunteer. So.
Yeah, it's true, and it's the best way. I mean, unfortunately, I can't be in New York City. Harrison's out of New York City now, so I can't be there. But I can help them out in other ways, and I can help people out in other ways. Right. And same thing with the Blue Key campaign. I can't be where Shanali is, so at least one thing I can do for refugees is show my support, give a tweet a day, donate for a Blue Key and share like that. That's the way I look at it. If I can't be there physically to help, I'd rather donate time via social media, and if I can do it financially as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, thanks for taking the time to do the 52 Comms Mixup interviews. Great chatting with you, and we really appreciate it.
Same here. Thanks for taking the time to discuss. I'm really honored. Thank you.